And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at eventide. The words that arch across the top of this beautiful window, which is located in the upper gallery on the east or Emily Street side of the sanctuary at St. Andrew's Church, are drawn from Genesis chapter 24, verse 63. The verse describes Abraham and Sarah's son Isaac standing outdoors in the cool of the evening, shortly before he meets Rebekah, with whom he falls in love and who would become his wife and the mother of Esau and Jacob. The window was installed and dedicated on February the 15th, 1931, as a memorial to a man named Colin Fraser Gordon, who for many years had been a faithful member of the St. Andrew's Church community. Colin Fraser Gordon was born in Riney, Aberdeenshire, Scotland on December the 20th, 1849. After completing school in Scotland and working in Aberdeen, Colin moved to London, England, and worked with the Union Bank for 3 years before immigrating to Canada in 1872, taking a job with a bank in downtown Toronto, which also had offices in Chicago, where Colin was posted for some period of time. On December the 7th, 1882, Colin was married to Janet Patterson Kay by the Reverend D.J. MacDonald of St. Andrew's Church. Janet was the daughter of John and Agnes Kay, who were active in the St. Andrew's Church community. Colin and Janet would eventually become the parents of 5 children, one of whom died in infancy. In 1883, Colin finished his work with the bank and went into business with Janet's father, John Kay. There's a plaque on the back wall of the sanctuary in memory of John Kay, who was not only an elder at St. Andrews and a member of the chairperson of the Board of Managers, but was also the owner of a well-regarded business in downtown Toronto, which in 1887 was renamed John Kay Son and Company, when John Kay's son John Bruce Kay and his son-in-law Colin Fraser Gordon were brought in as partners in that newly renamed firm. The John Kay store, which was renamed John Kay Son and Company, was located along King Street West and became a well-regarded textile and carpet company. Colin Fraser Gordon and the younger John Bryce Kay went on to operate the firm for many years after John Kay Sr. passed away in 1891. This is a picture of the John Kay Company store on King Street. It was interesting to learn that the architecturally beautiful facade of the store was moved when the King Street building was demolished, and it actually now continues to stand at 11 Adelaide Street West, attached to the Scotiabank Plaza. For multiple generations, therefore, the Kay and Gordon families were committed and dedicated members at St. Andrew's Church and in the wider Toronto community. It's not uncommon when reading through historical and archival documents about the congregation to come across references to John Kay and Colin Gordon in many different dimensions of the congregation's life and work, and to read references to Janet Patterson Kay or Mrs. Colin Gordon, who is also often mentioned in accounts about the life and work of St. Andrews. Shortly after Colin Gordon's death in 1927, the Clerk of Session of the time, Mr. F.C. Tisdall, wrote the following about him. Tisdall wrote, "He was a man much beloved in business life for his integrity, in church life for his ready service, and in family life, where he was a devoted husband and father." In the lower part of the window is a coat of arms from the Gordon clan with the motto Bidan, which means courageous or resilient, and a boar's head, which goes back to an old story about one of the first Gordons defending the king from the attack of a wild boar. Such details are always interesting to notice in stained glass windows and clearly connect with the life and family of the individual commemorated, but there are actually other details in this window which were also linked with Colin Gordon's life and interests. Specifically, the window portrays Isaac surrounded by natural images of trees, plants, and animals. These details were intentionally included in light of Colin Gordon's love of nature and of the outdoors, as attested in words written about him in the congregation's 1930 yearbook, shortly before the dedication of this window on February the 15th, 1931. We read that the artist Peter Hayworth, and I quote, depicts in this window the patriarch Isaac, meditating in the field at eventide, the reference being to Mr. Gordon's love of the out-of-doors. It's a noble figure that fills the foreground of the picture, and with the fluttering birds and other figures about it, speaks unmistakably of one who marked the months not by their names, but by the birds they brought back to Canada. There's another reference to Colin Gordon's love of nature in the bottom of the window, but the reference is not actually to a biblical passage. Rather, it's a passage from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which speaks not only of the joy of the natural world, but also of the joy of being part of the church community. Coleridge writes, O wedding guest, this soul hath been alone on a wide, wide sea, so lonely 'twas that God himself scarce seemed there to be. O sweeter than the marriage feast, 'tis sweeter far to me, to walk together to the kirk with a goodly company, to walk together to the kirk, and all together pray, while each to his great Father bends, old men and babes and loving friends, and youths and maidens gay. Farewell, farewell, but this I tell to thee, thou wedding guest, he prayeth well, who loveth well, both man and bird and beast. He prayeth best, who loveth best, all things both great and small, for the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all. This window, therefore, serves as a beautiful reminder of the wonder of nature, of the love of God, of the joy of the church community, of the life and witness of Colin Fraser Gordon, of the legacy of an immigrant to this land, of the inspiring example of a faithful servant of this church community, and of a family's gratitude to God for the life of this good and decent man. Or in the words of the window itself, to the glory of God and an ever-loving remembrance, this window was erected by the wife and family of Colin Fraser Gordon, born Rhynie, Scotland, 1849, died 1927. He prayeth well, who loveth well, both man and bird and beast.